Hello data structure students, I hope you're all doing well. So, we're going to be working with C++ this semester. Matter of fact, work with C++ every semester. And one of the things that I have observed is that, we're all coming from different backgrounds. Some people are from, our computer science track. Some people are transferring in from elsewhere. Some people have had a gap in between when they last took a programming class and when they're taking data structures. So for various reasons, people are at various skill levels for C++. No big deal. It'll come back to you like riding a bike. But before you can ride that bike, you kind of got to have a bike. And in our specific circumstance, that means you got to have a compiler. So a C++ compiler. There's no real lack of them out there, but I'm going to show you what I use. And I like what I use. It's a little bit old school, but you'll find it in a wide variety of places. I was essentially raised by a pack of wild Unix programmers, so I like to work at a terminal. And that's not a big deal if you've got Linux or even Mac OS, because Mac OS is just running on like a crazy version of BSD, so it's all Unix. It's all Unix. And now Windows is even integrated Windows subsystem for Linux support into Windows 10 and Windows 11. It's just natively supported, which means you can run a Linux distribution in parallel with Windows. So you get all of the nice, robust tools that come with a Unix-like environment, and it's free. And one of those really cool tools is a very robust C and C++ compiler. Okay, so let me show you how to get started with this. So I'm going to zoop down there, and first we're going to need to find a command prompt and run as administrator. If you're not using Windows 11 and you don't have this nifty thing popping up, you can also just right-click it and click Run as Administrator. And it'll give us a nifty sound effect, and the screen will go slightly dark, and we'll click Yes to run the application. And there we go. Okay, so Windows Subsystem for Linux will allow you to run a Linux distribution in the background. To install it, it's really easy. WSL -- install. Now that will install the Windows subsystem for Linux. It will not install a Linux distribution to actually run in it. If you don't know what that is, don't worry. If you do know what that is and you want to get something different, you can probably figure that out because you know the magic words already. But for everyone else, I would just say go ahead and install Ubuntu. And you do that by doing -D, that's specifying the distribution you want, and capital U, BUNTU, Ubuntu, and hit enter. Okay, so for me, Ubuntu is already installed. For you, when you run this, a bunch of text is going to stream across the screen. Nothing to panic about. There's only one thing you really have to keep an eye on, and that is when it asks you to enter your root password. It's going to ask you to set a root password. And this is the password that you're going to type when you install applications under Ubuntu. So just whatever you select, just remember it, write it down, use something that you typically use or whatever, but just remember what your root password is, because that's going to be somewhat important. Okay. Once it finishes installing, you will have, if we go to your start menu, Ubuntu on Windows. And if we click that, it will open up off screen, of course, a terminal window. It's exciting, right? Except it isn't. Unix terminals aren't typically exciting, but that's good. I actually really love this. They're nice, they're simplistic, and you can do a lot of things with them. When I'm writing code, I usually like to actually open up two terminal windows. One on the left-hand side of the screen, and then another on the right-hand side of the screen. And I usually like one of them to be a little bit larger than the other, and you'll see why shortly. Okay, so you got your terminals up. You're also going to want to install an editor for your code. So to install an editor, the one that I recommend is emacs. Sudo, is it apt-get, I think? Yeah, apt-get install emacs. And here's where it's going to ask you for that password. And, spoiler alert, I've already got emacs installed, but yeah, it's taking a long time to actually tell me that. Yeah, stuff's going to happen. Stuff's going to stream on the screen. It's going to install it. Ooh, there must have been an update. Ooh, I'm getting new stuff. Okay, cool. All right, so we can clear our screen. And, you know, let's just make a C++ file. Let's emacs CSE 2383 underscore test .cpp. Okay, now here we can just start typing stuff. You know, your usual include, let's just do a vanilla program. Include IOStream. Now, some of you are going to have a heart attack with the next line that I'm going to type. Don't. It's not that big of a deal. Because like I said, a lot of you are coming from a lot of different backgrounds, and to get the vast majority of you on the ground and running, the next easiest thing for me to type is using namespace std. And I hear the complaints. Yes, std has a lot of stuff in it, you know, you can get confusion, and it's not going to be that big of a deal, especially for the things that we're going to be working on this semester. And really, it doesn't actually change your executable that much. Like if you compile it, you know, anyway, doesn't matter. If you want a bigger conversation about this, happy to have it. But for those of you just wanting to get off the ground and start running, this is what we need to do. And let's make a main function, int main. And it's always nice for your main to return a 0, assuming it actually did what you wanted it to. And let's just put some output text. Testing. Okay. And we can save that. Now over here on the other side, we've got an editor. This is cool, because one side is acting as our editor, and the other one is acting as a terminal where we can type stuff. This looks a lot like an IDE. So this is you essentially implicitly making an IDE with terminals. So to compile something, we do G++, then our file name. So in this case, G++ CSE 2383 underscore test.cpp -o CSE 2383 underscore test. So what this is, G++ is our C++ compiler. So G++ followed by the name of the source file we're wanting to compile. In this case, CSE 2383 test.cpp -o specifies the file you want to put your compiled code into, so where your executable is going to go. So -o and then the name of your executable. And you hit enter. And boom, it compiled it. And to run it, you do / and then the name of the executable that you specified. And testing. Okay. This was a super crazy quick demonstration of, one, how to get WSL installed, how to get emacs installed. G++ is going to come installed by default, so you don't have to worry about that. And then writing a very simple C++ program, compiling it, and executing it, all from within WSL. So if you have questions about this, first line of defense, talk to the class TA and see if there are any suggestions that the TA has. We also have a bunch of helpers who are assisting the class TA. There's also me and the other instructors. We're happy to talk to you about this. But yeah, you need to get to the point where you've got C++ code compiling, because your first assignment is just getting some C++ code working. You'll see a more detailed explanation of it than that on Canvas. All right, so in the meantime, if you have any questions, let us know. Bye-bye, folks.